Okay, and now we're taking a look at Villagers. So this is on Kickstarter now, I believe.
It is. I made the brilliant decision of coming to Games Expo while I had a live Kickstarter, and I should be writing.
Have you got someone sat doing all the comments for you?
The designer of the game, Toucan, he's on it. Yeah.
Oh,
although he's on a plane tomorrow, so it's just going to be freewheeling for a while. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, it'll be fine. So, can you tell us about Villagers then?
I can. So, do you want me to sort of give you a quick rules run through? It'll take me about 3 minutes.
Just quick.
Okay. So, it is a game it's a drafting game where you are giving a new home to people who are. Can we start this again? I've completely lost my track.
That's fine.
Okay, scratch that. So, it's something like medieval Europe, and there's been a terrible plague, and all these people are uprooted and looking for a new place to work and live. Each player, in turn, is going to draft cards up to the food limit of their village, so everybody starts being able to draft 2 cards one at a time. After we've drafted all our cards, we go to a build phase, and when we start out, everybody can build 2 cards, so that is play 2 cards from your hand to your village and build up your village. As we do that, as we draft cards, the cards from these face-down stacks are going to replace them, so these stacks are going to start dwindling away until we reach the end, and that's the timer for the end of the game, when all these cards are gone. All the cards work in production chains, so we have a poulterer here. So our poulterer requires to be placed on top of a founder's card, which we start with. Everybody starts with a founder's card, which produces grain, and the poulterer needs the grain to feed her chickens.
Carpenter.
We'll get to that. So let's say you drafted a carpenter as well, for which you need, carpenter needs to go on top of a lumberjack. So you would ditch, during the build phase, you would ditch a card from your hand to get a lumberjack, one of the basic villagers, and the carpenter plays on top of the lumberjack. Now to play the poulterer has a padlock which shows that she's locked, and the text on the card tells us that she needs the services of a carpenter. She needs the carpenter to build a chicken coop for her chickens. So if the carpenter is in your village, he is going to get paid 2 gold from the bank, and those coins are going to stay on your card for the rest of the game. I'll get to why in a minute. If the carpenter is in my village, however, you can still play your poulterer, but you have to pay my carpenter 2 gold from your supply. And if there is no carpenter in play at all, you can still play her, but you pay 2 gold to the bank. Okay, so the carpenter, if he's in my village, gets the coins, and I'm going to benefit from that. So I told you earlier on that as we draft and replace with these cards are going to disappear, and eventually we're going to reveal these market cards. And when we get to a market phase, we're going to score our village. So let's say that our carpenter had his 2 coins that he got from the poulterer. So when we get to the market phase, you're just going to count up the gold icons in your village, so the poulterer's worth 3 gold, and you're also going to count up any coins on your villagers, so you would score a total of 5. Now, this would normally happen after a couple of rounds. You would have more in the village. And we're going to just play through the game until we get to the second market phase, during which all these things are going to score again. So any coins on your villagers can potentially score twice. And by the time we get to that last market phase, there is something else that kicks in. I'll find one of the cards. So we also have conditional scoring cards, such as the locksmith here. There's a silver icon which tells us that he only scores in the second market phase, but he's going to give you a conditional amount of gold. So 2 gold for every padlock in your village. So you might end up with 10 padlocks. So he's worth a lot to you potentially at the end of the game. So there's lots of different strategies, lots of different ways to win. There's a balance between how much food and how many builders you've got in your village. I think it took me 3 minutes. We could start playing now. There's a couple of other little things that I could explain to you as we play, but we could get going really quick. Plays 1 to 5 players. We've got a really nice sort of AI solo mode where you play against the evil countess who's trying to thwart you at every turn.
Is the artwork finalised?
The artwork is final, yeah. There might be a couple of little tweaks to the graphic design, but the artwork's final.
And if anyone is wanting to go back this, probably by the time they're seeing this video, it'll be too late. Are you going to have any late pledge options?
So that we finish on 13th of June, but we are using a pledge manager, so we will be doing late pledges and all that good stuff, yeah.
And so anyone watching this, how much?
You can make a basic pledge for £22, which gets you free UK shipping, a free expansion pack, and for an extra £8 plus shipping if you're outside of the UK, you're going to get a nice little box of wooden coins, about 130 wooden coins in a nice little magnetic treasure chest.
Nice. Okay, thanks a lot.
Cheers.